Whoa there. You're listening to the podcast from the back of the book. You gotta turn this boy around. We actually have a part 1 you have to listen to first, so we'll link it in the description, or you can just check us out somewhere, probably around. But make sure you listen to part 1 of this big, bad BlockBuster breakdown first, before you pass and listen to this even better, rantier for sure, second part. Anything to add, Kyle?
Just get ready. Gonna have some laughs, gonna have some fun in this part.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have some goofs, gaffs, and we're gonna have some outtakes.
A lot of screaming.
A lot of screaming. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy the big, bad BlockBuster breakdown, part 2.
Around his nose. Get them teeth to blow your mind. Playing all the music, just keeping time. Where in the world did he learn that? Oh, Lord. Well, help me get away.
So, when I saw Jurassic World, I enjoyed it when I first saw it. But I think that's more because I had a good night. I saw the movie at the one, the movie theater that's kind of out in West Portal, like that little place. I saw it with a friend of the podcast, Matt Avery. We got dinner afterwards at like that Mexican place that's kind of right across the way. Then we got ice cream at that ice cream place. And then we just walked to his house, his dad's house, and just talked. And then we got to his dad's house, and his dad's cousins or someone were there. It was they were cool. We were jiving. We played a bunch of music. We did a fun thing where we queued up songs and didn't have the other person see the songs, so we surprised each other with songs. And then we just hung out until 3 a.m. and I ended up crashing at his place. So I had a good night.
Right.
So when I remember that movie, I think I remember the night more than I do the movie. The movie itself, I enjoyed enough. I think there's some fun dinosaurs. Okay, here's the reason why everyone likes Jurassic Park in the first place. Because dino action. Everyone likes dino action. Everyone likes dinosaurs. There's some cool dino action. The bit at the end where the T-Rex and the Velociraptor fights the giant Fuckophosaurus is pretty cool. And there are some scenes like that which are pretty cool. Overall, I wasn't I love this movie, but I wasn't really I hate it either. It wasn't until going back later when I was oh yeah, this movie's kind of really, really misogynistic. Because, the whole point is that, the main female lead is, a bitch for not wanting kids. And it's she doesn't want to have a family, she doesn't want to hook up with Chris Pratt, and the movie frames that as her,
right,
as, a character flaw. It's no, I want to put my career first. And then the movie's oh, this woman. And then Chris Pratt is, this macho man guy whose whole point is, to put her in her place. And it's, really fucked up and misogynistic. And, that's not okay. And that movie is not okay and is problematic for those reasons. This movie takes it to a whole nother level of just... I don't even know where to start. I guess all I can say, and this is present in the first film, but it's kind of more of a thing you have to read into it. There's a really weird nihilism in the Jurassic World films. And I don't mean a Rick and Morty, Rorschach, fucking I hate people nihilism. A true, deep, human life doesn't matter nihilism in the Jurassic World films. That is fascinating to me, but also incredibly frustrating. Because the whole conceit of this film, the message of this film, is that we should all let humanity die and just let dinosaurs rule the earth again. Which is...
just like that one song.
What song?
It's a line from a Lemon Demon song.
Oh.
If dinosaurs ruled the earth.
It's maddening to me that a movie is just outwardly saying that. And that is the message of the film. You can't argue that is what the heroes of the protagonists of the film do, and you are supposed to sympathize and agree with them. Throughout this entire film is a 2-hour film where the only humans who are worthy of being alive and existing as humans are the humans that are willing to lay down their lives and service these dinosaurs in all aspects of their life. They're the humans who are willing to quit their jobs to make this non-profit organization to try to stop dinos, to like try to save every single dinosaur they can, even as those dinosaurs are trying to eat them. And if a human is not doing that, not even if a human is like trying to abuse and kill dinosaurs, if a human is just existing and not trying to service dinosaurs, to better dinosaurs at all moments of their life, they deserve to be eaten. And that's the message of the film.
Yeah.
There's no argument you can make that that's not what the film is saying, because at all moments, the film is showing that, and showing it as a good thing.
But a message in a film doesn't directly correlate to a director's thoughts.
You are supposed to cheer every time a dinosaur eats someone in that movie. Outside of maybe the very beginning, where like the main characters are getting chased by dinosaurs, there is no point in all the mansion
it's
stuff.
It's all like the bad guys got what they deserved because of this dinosaur.
Yeah, it's the lawyer getting eaten by the T-Rex on the toilet for the entire second half of the film. Mm-hmm. Every scene is like, oh, those people, like random people get killed. The guy who's auctioning off the dinosaurs get killed, and it's supposed to be like, good dinos. Finally, he's just auctioning. He's not even buying one. Also, too, that scene especially, they're auctioning off the dinosaurs, and it's supposed to be like, oh, look at these greedy money bags trying to get these dinosaurs. They're not going to turn... You can't turn a dinosaur into a weapon. I'm sorry, they're not like...
No, they're gonna... Dinosaurs have all kinds of uses that we haven't even thought of yet. A new tank. A Stegosaurus tank.
So just one? What are you going to do with one Stegosaurus tank? Well, 12 people have guns. Oh, look, your Stegosaurus is dead. Like, there's no implication... Then there's no even implications that people who are buying them are even really going to use them as anything other than pets. Like, for all we know, these are just people who want to own dinosaurs. But the fact that they want to own dinosaurs, just have a cool dinosaur, they should be killed. They should all be killed. And literally, I'm so mad, but I need to word my words correctly. There's a scene, and this is what I love too. And then we'll get much more into this in Incredibles. Jenny Nicholson, I think, does this in a really well way. There's a scene where the villain monologues and is making good points, and the heroes do not rebuttal those monologues. There's a very specific scene where the villain is like, I'm doing the same things you were doing. You guys created all these dinosaurs to put them in a zoo. These were theme park attractions. I'm just selling them now. I'm even giving them the new life that you wanted, but I'm just selling them to people who want them. You want to know the very highly intelligent response that our heroes, the people we should be rooting for in this film have, is they punch him in the face. Great job, guys. And again, this is such a fucking macho-ass fucking hero. It's fucking Chris Pratt as the most generically alpha male fucking guy who's just trying to...
That's kind of who he plays now. Like, that's just who he is.
We can talk about my dislike of Chris Pratt. We'll get to that a little later. But he's playing such an alpha male guy to just beat up this scrawny fucking nerd. It's like, that's how it is. It's like there's the cool action hero or the sexy lady, or there's this scrawny nerd, or this nerdy fucking dinosaur fucking scientist. Or there's like the dumb nerdy black kid who just screams at anything because he's such a fucking pussy. He's never seen dinosaurs before. What a fucking... I should tone myself down a little bit. But that's what the movie's doing. It's either these caricatures of these, like, super, like... I'm sorry, like, they're trying to do, like, beta male, like, just scrawny, little, weak... They're weak because they have glasses and they pursue science. Or this alpha male guy who fucking gets the dinosaurs.
He builds his own house.
He builds his own house. He drinks beer. He's such a cool guy. That wasn't what Jurassic Park was about. Jurassic Park was about...
They were all scientists.
They were all scientists. And that's what made that movie good. Okay. And the other thing too, and then we're going to get to me comparing this to the first film. the whole defense of this movie is like, I don't care about the humans. I just want to watch dinosaurs eat people. Which, first of all, think about just that sentence. I just want to watch dinosaurs eat people. Take dinosaurs away. I just want to watch people get killed. That's essentially what you're saying.
Yeah.
I just want to watch people get killed. Which, I maybe taking that into a little bit... That's what a lot of people say about a lot of slasher films back when they were, like, popular. And, like, okay, if that's your form of kind of turn your brain off entertainment, of just watching that happen, okay. But what made Jurassic Park so good was because you were invested in the characters on the island and you wanted to see them survive. You didn't want to watch a little kid get eaten by dinosaurs. You didn't want to watch this scientist you like get eaten by dinosaurs. You wanted to see them escape. You wanted to see them get away from the dinosaurs. You wanted to see them fight off the dinosaurs.
The only character that you, like, would want to see lose is the guy who, like, fucks everything up.
Yeah. The only character you want to see... the only character you enjoy watching die is Newman. That's the only character you should be like, haha. And even then, that scene is terrifying.
Yeah.
And that's... Because that's what the thing. Jurassic Park, at its core, it's a horror film. It's very light horror because this is trying to be marketed to mass appeal. But it is a horror film. And being a horror film, you should want to watch your main characters live, not take enjoyment out of watching them get killed.
Right.
All this film is enjoying watching them get killed. And again, how do the dinosaurs on the island die? Is it because a bunch of government agents go in and try to kill them all? Is it because of, like, some man-made plague? It's because of a volcano. A natural disaster kills them. Nature just takes course and kills these dinosaurs. But no, we should stop nature. We should save these dinosaurs. We should have them roam free while they actively eat people and think nothing of it because they're fucking dinosaurs.
And it's a really weird thing because this movie presents Jeff Goldblum at the beginning as kind of a villain. Mm-hmm. And it's like, how do you even, like, how are you going to get people on your side by saying Jeff Goldblum's wrong?
Yeah.
He knows better than anyone.
Yeah.
And all he says, he's like, this is against nature's will.
Yeah.
This is a bad thing.
Yeah.
And it's going to fix itself, and we should let it happen.
Yeah.
And everyone goes, wow, what a fucking crazy guy, am I right?
I cannot believe. Because it's like, look, let's put this in modern... let's put this... The thing with this is most people think nothing of this because these are dinosaurs. This situation will never happen in real life. Mm-hmm. So me being mad makes me sound like a crazy person because there is no reality in which dinosaurs are going to start running around and eating people. But let's create more of a realistic situation. Let's say there were wolves, right? Let's say there were these wolves that lived in, like, deep, deep forest. And they mostly kept to themselves. But anytime anyone would ever show up into that forest, every wolf would automatically kill them. Just pack onto them, kill them all. But then you'd be like, okay, well, we should let the wolves live. Let's just not go into that forest. And then there's a forest fire. And then all the forest fire gets burnt up. And should we go, oh man, that really sucks. All those wolves are going to die. Or should we go, let's try to save the wolves, knowing they will try to kill us at every step of the way as we try to save them.
Right.
Even then, you could make the argument, okay, but we should still try to let animals be alive. Let's try to maybe put them in captivity and make sure that they aren't eating people. And then you could even say, well, what if we maybe find another wolf reserve? Let's find a place, let's maybe find a new place for the wolves to live. Instead, what if you're like, no, what we should do is just let the wolves run through the suburbs. Let's let them just kill anyone we want, because it doesn't matter as long as those wolves are alive.
Right.
You'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Like, for some reason, this specific animal is more important. It's not even a conservationist thing.
No.
It's like an obsession with a specific animal.
It's this animal is more important than any other animal ever.
Right.
Which, again, they let those dinosaurs free. It's not like they're in the middle of the desert. No. It's not like they're in the South American jungle. They make a point of saying they're close to a town, They're like a mile away from a town. So even if you can say, even if the movie is saying, simply by anyone being there, they deserve to die. Okay, but what about all the people just living in a town close by?
Right.
They're also going to get killed, because the dinosaurs are going to run over there and fucking eat them. So those people deserve to die too? And again, this is the most. I hate that little fucking girl. I hate that little girl so fucking much. And I hate that moment when they're gonna... they finally come to the conclusion. And this was actually... I was maybe going to let this movie slide. Because I thought when the dinosaurs are dying from the poisonous gas, and they decide not to open the door, I thought that was the character arc. I thought the arc was going to be... dinosaurs are more important than humans.
Yeah.
And then realizing, oh, well, they kill all these humans, and they shouldn't be in nature. And this is our fault for creating them. Maybe we should just let them die. Mm-hmm. I thought that was going to be the character arc. I thought that was going to be like...
It essentially was.
Uh-huh.
And then the little girl went, lol, no. And then everyone just accepted it.
Yeah.
Like, they weren't even mad at her. They were just like, okay, that's fine, too.
Yeah. They're alive. Like me. And again, that...
Fucking PETA-ass girl over here.
Well, not even that. It's just like, that feels... Okay, but guess who's not going to be alive? Everyone else. And everyone's like, no, this is cool. This is going to be like... It's going to be like an apocalyptic world where dinosaurs rule the earth again. It's like, that's not... You're saying that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I don't want that. So, it's like if... Have you seen the first Planet of the Apes prequel? It's like if they... At the end of the Planet of the Apes prequel, essentially what happens is that there's this disease that gets out that essentially wipes out most of humanity. It's like if they... implied that the disease was a good thing. It's like, oh, that disease gets to live now and be free.
Right.
And also kill all these thousands of people. I feel like you could very easily kind of read an honestly... This might be where I actually start sounding like a crazy person. I feel like you could read a very good, like, Trump allegory to this movie. Where... And maybe I'm sounding like fucking Hooper from fucking Chasing Amy, but like, so there's
Archie's not fucking Mr. Weatherby.
There's these old things that these people love. They think, oh, these old things are so great. We should go back to these old ways and the old things. But these old things hurt a lot of people. But to these people, that doesn't matter. As long as these old things can get out and be free, and we can go back to the old ways of living, it doesn't matter how many people these old things hurt, because they're free and they get to go out and they get to be part of the world again.
This is a tangent, but can we talk about? And this is like the most baller move of all time, to be honest.
Yes.
So at Aretha Franklin and John McCain's funeral, people specifically made mention of Trump and like. He did bad things or whatever. And his complete response to both of these events was a tweet. One tweet.
Okay.
And all it was a MAGA. And that's all he tweeted. What a power move. Honestly, dude. Like, he just embraced, like, full evil villain.
Yeah.
And I can respect that, but, like, holy fuck.
Our president, ladies and gentlemen, what a great guy. What a great fucking guy.
Can you imagine? People are like, you're ruining everything, you know. And these two people have died that were super well respected, and you just drop a lol, fuck you, I'm the boss.
Yeah. That... make dinosaurs live in the world again, I guess. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. It just... I was getting mad in the theater, and this is where we're getting into... It does feel like I'm crazy. Mm-hmm. Because no one is talking about this. And everyone's saying, like, this movie's great, it's so cool, I love dinosaurs. It's like, what is our warped world we're living in?
It looked bad from the trailers.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even good, like, as a movie.
No, and that's the thing. If this was, like... a super adventure thrill ride or something, that would be one thing.
And that's the part we're getting to, is these last three movies are just not good.
Yeah.
Outside of the other problems they have.
Mm-hmm.
And people fucking love them.
They're just not enjoyable to watch. They're just... the action is boring. It's not very thrilling. There's not that much happening. Like, why would you enjoy watching this? Mm-hmm. Why are your standards so low that you consider this great? And, like, no, not everyone was talking about how Jurassic World was, like, the best movie ever made or anything. People were still like, yeah, it's fucking awesome. Cool, this is so much better than the first movie.
Right.
It's like, yeah, I guess it's less misogynistic than the first movie. And, like, I can't argue that in the real world, Jurassic World has a less hateful message than this one. Like, misogyny and, like, saying that women should, like, just be put in their place is much worse than this fantasy idea that dinosaurs should take over the world again. Like, I'm not going to take away from that. Jurassic World, technically speaking, and literally speaking, has a more hateful and hurtful message than Jurassic World 2. I'm not going to pretend that it doesn't. That being said, Jurassic World 2 has a much more baffling message. Because what if this was... I'm sorry, again. Try to put this in more real-world stakes. Try to frame it... Frame... Like, the people who just work there are getting killed. Like, the guards are getting killed. Like, if you're just, like, a low-paid guy who just needs to get a job, it's like, I'll get this job watching this mansion.
All Germans were Nazis. They all deserve to be killed.
And again, it's not even like, I was following orders. Like, but they're not even killing the dinosaurs. They are saving them.
They do literally save them. Those dinosaurs would have died on that island.
Yeah, they're saving them. They're giving them a new life. There is nothing implying that they're going outside of like, oh, you could use this dinosaur as a weapon. But yeah, who the fuck would? How is that going to be effective?
And if they're going to use it, they're going to model a weapon based on it. It's not like they're going to kill this animal to use its like shitty animal like hide. It's not like they're like resistant to bullets or anything.
Exactly. That would have been such a much better... I would even be willing to a little more side with the heroes if it was like, oh, we can turn these dinosaurs into these new purses and coats and shit. And like, a dinosaur skull goes... No one wants to own a dinosaur, they just want the skulls or something. Like, that even. If they were like killing the dinosaurs, that would be one thing. But just because one guy pulls a tooth out of some dinosaurs to get some shitty Vietnam fucking necklace.
I don't know what that guy was.
And that doesn't even... They weren't encouraging him doing that. That's just a guy being bad at his job.
Yeah, he was just like a weirdo.
Like, if there's like some guy working at a zoo who's like kind of abusing animals, you don't think everyone at the zoo should be killed then. Like, I'm sorry. It's just so... It's so fucking frustrating, and no one's talking about it. And that's what really fuels my rage about this, is that no one is talking about it.
Now you know how I feel when Rogue One came out.
But I hated Rogue One too when it came out. I do know how you feel. I don't know. Do I have anything else to say about this? I feel like I'm just going to be going around in circles.
Probably.
I don't really have, like...
And we have 2 more movies to get to.
Yeah. I don't know if I really have a much more.
Which are both going to be long.
I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything, because a lot of the movies we're getting into I haven't seen in a while. So, most of my thoughts are just the rage that I have left inside.
Yeah. Hold on. I had a small list I made of things to talk about.
Okay, yes?
Oh, that was the other thing.
Yes.
The entire time we were watching the movie, it felt like it was implied that little girl was a half dinosaur, half human child.
Yeah, kind of.
And I thought it was really weird. I was like, did this guy, like, fuck a velociraptor? Like, what is happening?
Yeah, no.
It was really strange.
That is weird.
That's the only other note I had on this. Little girl dino and raptor cool guy.
Are there any, like, will points?
No.
Okay.
No, I just wrote down both those things.
Okay. I don't know. I feel
my Infinity War notes are so bad, because, like, most of them I get. But there is one in here that just says Fanatin Menance, and I don't remember why.
Okay.
Something in that movie was like Star Wars, but I don't remember. Oh, I remember what it was. Okay, we'll get to it.
I don't know. I mean, it's like, imagine if you framed Thanos killing half the population as a good... Oh, wait!
What a transition. You want to do Infinity War next?
I'm thinking... I'm ultimately less mad at Incredibles, so I kind of I want Infinity War to be our final thing.
That's fine.
Okay.
I think I'm more mad at Incredibles, but it doesn't matter because
Okay.
I hated both of them.
Well, let's talk about Incredibles. So, do you wanna start this one off?
Yeah.
Or should I?
So the only note I have for Incredibles 2 on my phone was possibly the worst film of the last century.
Really?
Yeah. So Incredibles, from the trailers, I wasn't excited because it looked like a rehash of the first one.
It looked like a literal remake of the first
And in many
movie.
ways it was.
Yes.
And in the ways that it deviated, it was just awful. Just one of the worst things I've ever experienced.
Uh-huh.
So, first off, I just don't... The characters are reset as soon as the movie starts.
Yes.
Literally. In the most ridiculous way possible.
Mm-hmm.
Because the movie starts as the last one ends. Mm-hmm. No time has passed.
Yeah.
Since Incredibles 1.
Yeah.
Violet just asked that kid out on a date.
Uh-huh.
And then immediately is the, oh man, I'm scared of boys
Yeah.
girl again.
Yeah.
Dash isn't in this movie.
No, not really.
I don't know what happened there.
Yeah.
Jack just does Jack again.
Yeah,
It's the same thing.
it's
And
like-
they're all like, what?
Yeah.
Even though they've all experienced it.
Yeah.
And then Mr. and Mrs. Incredible switch places.
Yeah. That's the whole...
I'm sorry, Elastigirl. Girl power.
That's the whole thing. I mean, that's literally the entire... And it is.
So that's already a bad setup for this movie.
Yeah.
But what... And, I mean, this is subjective. I guess if you were into the train of thought, it's a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
But this movie is just about how people with money deserve better things.
Yeah.
And about how there are certain people that are just better than other people and the law shouldn't apply to them.
Yeah.
And it just sets that in the context of superheroes a little bit.
Uh-huh.
And then just says, if you get arrested, it's your fault.
Mm-hmm.
Don't blame the system. You're the one who was wrong.
Yeah.
How dare they attack these people who should be above all criticism?
Yeah.
It's like... I don't know. It's like if you watched Watchmen, at the end of the movie, they were like, good thing Ozymandias saved the planet and
Yeah.
did nothing wrong.
It's like if they find out what Ozymandias did and we're like, good call, bro.
Yeah, and they were all into it.
Yeah.
Like, it's the most, like, Ayn Rand just trash.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if you like Ayn Rand, because you have a brain illness, and you should just fucking fix it with a gun, honestly.
Yeah.
It's just, like... As the movie went on, it just gets more and more obsessed with these, like, conservative, just, like... It's like when you go and visit your relatives.
Yeah.
And they start talking about states' rights and how the black people deserve to be shot for shoplifting or being 12 years old.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
And you just are going, I cannot fucking believe this.
Yeah.
And everyone's just in agreement
Yeah.
about all this stuff.
Yeah.
Fuck.
I mean...
And people love this movie.
No, they do.
This movie gets like 9 out of 10.
Yeah, no, everyone is like, oh my god, Well, here's the thing, and here's the thing that I really hate, is that so many people who love this movie are people around our age who are like, oh my god, my childhood, I've been waiting for 12 years for this movie. Because, I'm sorry, I guess everyone except me thought that, like, the Underminer gag at the end was legitimately setting up a sequel.
I didn't really think that.
Neither did I.
I thought it was just, because they fight crime again.
Yeah, I
They're
thought
a family who fights crime together.
Yeah.
That's what the whole movie climaxed into.
Yeah.
And then they made this whole plot about how they're trying to bring superheroes back.
Mm-hmm.
I never really thought of it as a law.
Yeah.
I get that it was a rule in the first one, but it just kind of felt like they saved the world, and so they were just going to keep fighting crime together.
Yeah, exactly. And the implication is because they're fighting this guy, that means that, like, superheroes are legal and it's fine. And, like,
right.
Everything's back to normal and, like, it's okay. And I guess everyone but us thought it's like, oh, this is a sequel setup can't wait to see how this progresses, and is now like, oh my god, finally I get to see what happens.
The Underminer. Like, the fact that that was in the first movie makes this movie less cohesive, because they have to write him back out of the movie.
Yeah, exactly. Which they do very quickly.
Yeah.
And even from the beginning, and this is where, again, and we are just quoting Jenny Nicholson at this point, but that's fine. The movie makes a very good case against the superheroes and for the villains, and at no point do the superheroes really make any arguments back.
Right.
From the very beginning, the guy's like, when they get arrested after they fight the Underminer, he's like, those banks were insured. All he wanted to do was steal money. Like, by you trying to stop him, you caused more damage and put more people's lives at risk than he was at any point.
Right.
And it's like, yeah.
If he had just stolen the money, everything would have been... they would have gotten their money back.
Yeah.
But now you've, like, demolished several buildings.
Yeah, and nearly killed, like, 20 people.
Yeah.
Like, I mean...
And they didn't even catch him, and he just doesn't show up again.
Yeah, and at no point is even, like... At no point does the movie even say anything against that. It's like, oh, but there was secretly a bomb he was planning on putting there, and he had to run away because they were fighting him, or anything. It's just straight up like, yep. And I'm like, okay, so, like, are you going to prove them wrong at any point? And apparently just by continue to doing what they were doing, it's like, no, you're wrong.
And it's like, at the end of the movie, it's like, oh man, if there hadn't been superheroes, this situation would have gone terribly wrong. But it wouldn't have. Because if they had not tried to continue being superheroes, the movie wouldn't have happened in the first place.
Literally. And here's the thing about how, like, oh, well, what if Brad Bird is agreeing with the villains? And like, oh, this and that. By virtue of not creating an argument against the villains, you are supposed to think that the villains are bad. Or just, not even the villains. Anyone who opposes the superheroes are bad simply because they are opposing the superheroes.
Which is exactly his philosophy.
Yeah.
Is that they deserve special treatment.
Yes.
Because they are super people.
Yeah. And they're better.
And
yeah.
This movie was so fucking offensive that it made me retroactively hate every other movie Brad Bird has ever made.
Yeah.
I no longer like The Iron Giant or Ratatouille or The First Incredibles. I think they are all now bad films in the context of this film existing.
Yeah. Because they all are like that.
9 out of 10.
They all are like that. And to be honest, I was so caught up with the rehash of the first film that I kind of ignored a lot of that. Or not even ignored, I just didn't notice it. Because I was so caught up in just the fact that this film still is mostly just
a remake.
A remake. Like you said, all the character arcs are exactly the same. The plot is almost exactly the same. The way they start and finish the world of the universe is exactly the same. The whole thing
at the end is that they're a family who listens to each other and works together. And as soon as this movie starts, they're like, now you kids stay at home and don't interfere.
Yeah. And then the ending of this movie is literally exactly like the first movie.
Where it's like, oh, the kids, they were there to help save the day, and we work better as a family.
And I was so mad about that, and mad that no one was talking about that I did not really pick up on the really...
I only started thinking about it. Because there was one scene that takes place pretty far into the movie, where she catches the guy who she thinks is the villain. And he says, I didn't do it. And the police officer says, don't blame the system. And this movie is just actively saying that no matter what, the police are correct.
Yeah.
And it's like if someone watched Dredd and went, what a utopia.
Yeah.
What a good system to have in place.
Yeah, pretty much.
And just this concept that there should be no separation between law enforcement and like the judicial system is so grossly Trump-esque that it's very poorly timed as well.
Yeah.
And after that, all we could talk about watching this movie was just how horrible it got.
Didn't you?
Especially when we were like, that was weird. So we tried to look it up to see why it was there, and like found like 8 articles about how he's like super into the Fountainhead, and we're like, uh-oh. That's not good.
Yeah. Didn't you like walk out at that moment?
I did stop watching the movie at that moment.
Yeah.
For a minute.
Yeah.
I really considered not continuing the movie.
Because the whole thing is too, he didn't do it.
He didn't do it.
And he got...
And no one listens to this guy.
Yeah.
Who is telling the truth and says, I didn't do this.
Yeah.
And everyone just goes, wow, what a villain.
Yeah.
The only reason that he's not black is because Frozone's the only black character in all of The Incredibles. Legitimately, I think if you went through this movie again, there are no other black people.
Yeah.
And Frozone's not even in it.
No.
He's only in it so they can make the stupid super suit joke again.
Yeah.
Which is not funny.
Yeah.
It was fucking funny in the first one. It's not funny when you do it again.
And they don't even do it again. They just have his like, haha, black wife, haha.
Yeah, wow, what a black wife that's black and a woman.
Yeah.
Fucking black woman, am I right?
It's... And you don't even see her. You don't even see her. The only other black character in this entire movie is unseen and a stereotype. Like...
You only know she's black because she sounds like what a black woman is stereotyped to sound like.
You know what I wonder?
Kind of like the robot in Solo.
I wonder if that's actually a black person doing that voice.
You could look it up.
Can you look that up real quick? Because if it is a white woman,
I
then
think it is probably an actual black person.
It probably is
50-50.
But if it is a white woman, then Brad Bird is losing. It's just that's it. Then we just stop talking about this movie. I think because it doesn't even.
I mean, how am I
gonna
find her? She doesn't have a name. Mrs. Frozone.
Like who played Frozone's wife in The Incredibles? Like I don't know.
I don't even know where I'd find it on IMDb.
Yeah, no.
Maybe under cast?
We'll look it up later. I don't know. You keep looking. I'll keep talking.
Yeah. Can we talk about how Dash's name literally sounds like a meme? You know, where it's like when your mom calls you by your full name. His name is Dashiell.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Why? And I don't know. Between this and Infinity War, I think it really starts coming out. No, I'll save that. But it just was so frustrating to me that everyone was acting like this was the greatest movie. It's like, I've waited 15 years for this movie. It's finally coming out. I'm so happy. And it's everything I wanted and more.
Okay. Her name is Kimberly Adair Clark.
Okay, so it is a black woman.
Correct.
Okay, then I guess
her
still not great.
Her name is Honey Best.
Okay, well, cool. Cool.
I was going to make a joke, but then I just...
No, go for it.
No, it's like... Who was it? Someone used the N-word and everyone got really offended.
Hulk Hogan?
No. But it's like a talk show person.
Oh, yeah.
And used it in like... I don't know. I'm not trying to justify it. Because it's still bad. But the context made it a lot less bad than a lot of other people who have used it. Because it was used in a context to attack a point of view that would use the N-word frequently as a derogatory thing.
Okay.
And my joke about a character being named Honey Best was very similarly along those lines. Because it does feel very much to be in a similar situation.
Sure. Okay. I don't know. It's just... And this is... I heard the argument said when someone was talking about that point. The argument against that was, well, it's just a kid's movie, so you shouldn't analyze it that much. What does it matter? I would say...
Yeah, we should keep showing all those fucking racist Disney cartoons.
Well, one, that should never be an argument...
racist Looney Tunes cartoons.
That should never be an argument against anything of, oh, you're just reading too much into it. Oh, you're not supposed to think that much.
It's a bad argument.
Yeah. Secondly...
That's just letting it slide.
A kid's movie, you should analyze that even more, because if these are the messages we're giving to children,
right,
we should be a lot more concerned about that.
And I think a child might not notice
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the more complex, like, philosophical elements.
Sure.
Because, I mean, when I watched Incredibles as a kid, I wasn't thinking about that.
You were thinking about how randy in the movie was.
Right. But they're gonna think about how police officers are always the good guys.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know? And I guess that's not a terrible message to send, but it's also not a truthful message.
I think that's a pretty bad message to send, to be honest.
It's not a bad message to say that, like... Okay.
Yeah?
In theory, it's not a bad message to say that the police are not there to hurt you. Because I think... And this is a much wider point, but I think everyone
Yes.
is, in some way, fearful of the police.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think anyone's reaction to seeing a police car on the road or something is like, I need to really pay attention so I don't get in trouble.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone thinks the police are there to protect you. They're there to punish you.
Yeah.
And for a very large portion of the country, that is a much more severe punishment.
Yes.
So it's not a great message.
No.
But I think, in theory, to try and portray police officers as being someone who is there to protect you would be good if that's what they were doing. But it's not what they're doing.
But it's not what they're doing, yeah.
So it is a bad message,
Yeah.
I suppose.
Okay. That's fair. And I mean... Well, just the fact is, too, like, these superheroes are authority figures, so what if they were police? What if, again, you can write this off as like, oh, well, superheroes aren't real, so you're just being crazy. But what if
But this movie it's allegorical.
Yeah.
It's not even it's not like... The dinosaurs concept is still applicable to the real world.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit farther away.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is still, like, philosophical.
Yeah.
This is, like, it's, like, Animal Farm level.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not even, like, really a metaphor.
No.
It's just, like, I've replaced a word with a different word.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean... I just think... And again, no one's really talking... I mean, I saw an article recently talking about the Randianness of the first Incredibles, and that guy talks about how, like, everyone's hot take was talking about how the Incredibles was super Randian, and I don't remember that ever happening. Maybe that was, like, at the time and, like, kind of fell to the wayside, but I mean, it's a lot harder to argue against, maybe not directly Randian, but it still is a bad message for a film. The message still is, we should let these people who are born better than everyone else essentially live their lives as they want, and if we get in the way of that as normal people, we should be punished.
It's a really warped X-Men.
Yeah.
It's like because X-Men's like, these are people who are born like this, and they are treated as lesser, and they should be equal in society.
Yeah.
This movie is, they are treated as equal, and that's bad.
Yeah. Literally the entire...
It's just, I mean, this is the problem with Ayn Rand in the end, is that's just the same as saying that Aryans are better than all other people.
Yeah.
It's just Hitler.
Yeah.
It really is, in the end.
Yeah.
There's no argument that it's not just supporting a master race.
Mm-hmm. And I mean...
And how is that not the bad guy? I mean...
Yeah. No, it's good, though. It's the people who get in the way of that are the bad people. And because really, it's the whole thing is that... The whole point of the first Incredibles movie is that Mr. Incredible is, like, hates his life because he has to live a normal life. And if he could just be super, then he'd be great. If he could just be better than everyone else, he'd love his life. But the fact that he is forced by these other normal people to act normal as well, then he hates his life. And I mean, that's Ratatouille. That is kind of Iron Giant.
But at least in those movies, the situation is more sympathetic.
Sure.
Like, his job is not good for him
in
Incredibles 1.
Sure.
And he has a hard time existing in a way that is not, like, true to himself.
And a lot of people...
So you can still kind of see those movies as that.
Yeah. And a lot of people, I'm sure, can relate to having a shitty office job.
Right.
With a shitty boss.
Or
and they would
having a dream to be, like, an artist.
Mm-hmm.
And no one around them, like, cares.
Yeah.
Or supports them.
Mm-hmm.
This movie is just, they are, if you don't let them do what they are doing, you don't deserve to be alive.
Yeah. And even in the first, and this is my big thing too, even in the first movie, there's like, he wants to stop a mugging, but his boss doesn't let him. And like someone dies because he wasn't a superhero. Mm-hmm. Or he saves a cat from a tree. Or stops a robbery. Like these are things that he is doing to help society.
The problems exist whether he's a superhero or not.
Yeah.
In this movie, the problems only exist because they are superheroes.
Because they're superheroes. And I said that walking out of the movie, and that was one thing. It's like, everything that happens in this movie that they have to fix is because of them. Is because of what they're doing. And, like, no, I guess you could say, like, there's kind of a vague argument against this of, like, oh, well, just because they're superheroes, it's not their fault that this crazy lady's an evil villain. And it's like, no, but if they weren't superheroes, which they weren't, she wouldn't have done anything. Right. So it's like, yeah, cool, you stopped it, but at no point, again, the banks were insured. At no point throughout Incredibles 2 is there any point where they better society. Because after the bank robbery, everything is manipulated by this woman. So they even make a point of like Elastigirl's like, wow, there's not a lot of crime over here. Like I'm not being able to be a superhero that much, and that sucks. Like I even thought the twist of the film was going to be the villain was creating this supervillain so that superheroes had a reason to be superheroes. And I thought the twist was going to be like, wow, that's really bad. Maybe you shouldn't manipulate these problems so that they can solve them. And maybe that would be like some weird like Reagan like diss or something like that. But no, it's just, no, she's bad because she hates superheroes. That's her problem. And she needs to be fucking sent to jail. And she even says at the end, like, just because you beat me doesn't mean I'm not right. And then they're like, haha, what an idiot. Like, no, she's right. Just because you beat her doesn't mean she doesn't have a point. And stop acting like she doesn't. It is really, it's just maddening. And it's just maddening that no one is talking about, not even that no one is talking about this, but that everyone is acting like this is one of the greatest movies of all time.
Also, there's no reason that she has to be the villain. Her brother could have been the villain.
Yeah, I thought maybe that was also going to be the case, is that her brother actually was, Bob Odenkirk was actually the villain, but no.
No, he's just a good, rich person
who
deserves to be given everything because he has the money for it.
Exactly, yeah. Again, it's so fucking,
It's bad.
It's bad. Really it's bad, and it's frustrating, and it really sucks that so many people are acting like this. Is great, and it's a good movie, and they're not even stopping at any point to think critically of this movie. And yeah, it's just really depressing, I guess, is the main thing, is that at no point is, and I guess the I don't know, any other critiques I have is I can kind of apply to Infinity War. So do you have anything else to say about? Okay.
No, we should just
let's
wrap it up.
Well, let's get into the final movie, the first movie actually, that this was out before any of the other ones. This started off the blockbusters of this year. This kicked off the whole thing. Infinity War. Yeah. Avengers 3, technically 4, because Civil War is an Avengers movie.
It's Captain America, Civil War.
It's an Avengers movie.
I forgot that it was themed Captain America.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I've seen all the Avengers movies. And I was like, oh no, I didn't see Civil War. And then like a month later, I was like, I guess technically that's a Captain America movie.
It should have been, even if you didn't want, it should have been either Avengers Civil War or it should have just been called Marvel Civil War. Like, I guess you could say it's not an Avengers movie because technically they're not avenging anything.
But it is.
But it's an Avengers movie. It's just all of the characters except Thor and Hulk are there and they're interacting and they're fighting. And it's great. It is the best superhero comic book movie ever made. And I haven't seen it too recently, but I've seen it kind of recently, and I maintain that. It's a great film. It's really well directed. All of the action's really good. It does a great job of feeling like a comic book, but also feeling like a film. It does a great job of feeling like kind of a like a good comic of like, oh cool, because that's what comics are like a lot of time. It's a lot of interpersonal drama, and it does a really good job of feeling like that. It's all the characters feel really fleshed out and real.
And it's about, I don't know, Marvel movies, especially the Avengers movies, kind of have a problem of just fighting a bad guy. Everyone just fights.
Yeah.
But Civil War is like kind of one of those things that's like what makes comics interesting is when they're not just a person fighting a person. It's
Exactly.
about like something. There's a philosophical element to it.
Yeah. And in a lot of ways, while that film is a great representation of like a good comic story, like a self-contained good comic story, Infinity War is a very good representation of an event comic. It's huge, it spans the whole different worlds, it has every single character fighting this massively overpowered guy, and it's terrible.
It's just awful.
And it's the fucking worst. Event comics are almost always the worst comics can get. At least with like superhero comics. I sometimes like certain event comics, and I like the conceit of having a big moment in a universe that affects everyone. So usually when event comics happen, I like these spin-off comics. I like finding out, like, what was this character doing while this was happening? What was this character doing? But I almost never like the core story. Because it's always a fucking mess. It's always just a big fucking mess. And so is this movie. So, Infinity War, for anyone who hasn't seen it, which is no one, is essentially the culmination of 10 years and 18, this was the 19th, 19 movies, all coming together to this one moment, this one film, all the characters coming together.
For Ant-Man.
Except for Ant-Man and Hawkeye.
Yeah, they wrote Hawkeye out of...
Yeah. It's bullshit, but...
I mean, to be fair, he sucked in the Avengers movies, and he had no purpose, so...
I mean, he's pretty good in 2. You don't like Hawkeye building the house?
Well, it's just... I love the hour of that movie that's them hanging out at Hawkeye's house.
Yeah. I like Hawkeye in 3, in 3, Civil War. I like Hawkeye. We're just going to call it Avengers 3.
Civil War?
He's in Civil War. He's pretty good. He's not in it a lot, but he has a couple moments which I really like. I like him in Civil War. But I like everything in Civil War because that's
He's just not,
movie.
I don't know, he just hasn't been an important character.
No.
They would have done the same to Black Widow, but people would have gotten mad.
Yeah. So,
Hulk needs a love interest.
where do we want to? What angle do we want to tackle this with?
Well, I can go over my notes, and we can talk about the 3 or 4 notes I made on this movie. The first of which is Fanatin Menance.
Okay, sure, go ahead.
So Fanatin Menance is the name of a Star Wars YouTube video that's making fun of Phantom Menace, obviously.
Yeah.
Great video. Great series of videos.
Is it? But I bet it's not as good as the Planker reviews of the prequels, am I right?
God. I have brought this Galaxy pizza. Free, just eat pizza.
Just don't take my slice.
Anyway, so the reason I wrote down Fanatin Menance
Yes.
is because this movie has a lot of parallels to the Phantom Menace, and I mean that in a bad way. And that's coming from me, someone who will defend the Star Wars prequels to the end of the earth, even though, objectively, they are not good movies. The thing that I really noticed in this movie is that, like the Phantom Menace, it has 4 different, like, storylines happening at the same time, and they just don't come together.
No.
And none of them are fleshed out enough to be a movie. And I think that's one of the big problems with this movie. In the structuring, is you have the Iron Man crew, the Captain America crew, the Guardians crew, and there's another, I think, like...
Thor and the other Guardians. And
technically, like, most of them end up at the same place,
Yeah.
but they don't talk to each other.
It's essentially what it is you have those 4 crews, and essentially the Guardians and the Iron Man crew come together, and then the Thor and the Captain America come together at the end.
Yeah.
And that just means they have the Captain America, the Guardians / Iron Man crew fight Thanos, and the Captain America / Thor crew fight a bunch of fucking CGI hordes of CGI monsters that no one cares about. That's been a problem with every single movie that's like this always.
But it's very similar. At the end of the Phantom Menace, you have the lightsaber duel.
Yeah.
They're retaking the palace. Anakin's in the starfighter, and the Gungans.
Now this is pod racing.
The Gungans are fighting the droids, and it's just too much, and a lot of it doesn't need to be there.
Yeah.
And this movie is 3 hours of that.
Yeah.
Basically.
With Phantom Menace, literally, you just need the lightsaber fight because that's the only cool part.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is the only cool part.
Yeah.
And the other parts are only relevant. Like, I mean, maybe the retaking the palace is, like, kind of plot important. I guess Anakin blows up the thing which stops the droids. But that could have been written so many other ways.
Quiet, R2, you're going to get us both killed.
Right. And the droid Gungan part also doesn't matter.
No, yeah.
And if you didn't have the Gungan part, then you wouldn't need the Star Pilot part.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we're going to skip ahead a little bit.
Yes.
These are notes kind of from the end of the movie. The next note I have is, Crispy Rat is an asshole.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chris Pratt kills half the galaxy in this movie.
Yep.
By himself.
Yeah.
Because he's a fucking baby.
Yeah.
And I like Parks and Rec. Right?
I've been rewatching Parks and Rec recently. He's funny in it.
He's good on that show, and I like that show. I think Chris Pratt has steadily gotten worse and worse in every single thing he has appeared in.
Yes.
He was good in Guardians 1. He was in Guardians 2. He was bad in Jurassic World.
Yes.
And he is the main antagonist in this movie.
Yes.
Everything that happens is his fault.
Here's why. I think Chris Pratt well, we can talk about Chris Pratt in this movie and Chris Pratt as an actor and how his career has kind of taken a very unfortunate turn. So, in Parks and Rec, he's funny. In fact, he's very funny because originally he was just a guest star on the first episode. And then he's funny, so they kept putting him in. And he's good. He's good on Parks and Rec. And then he gets cast in Guardians. And Guardians is a role that is very outside of Chris Pratt's wheelhouse at the time. Because the whole point of the Star-Lord character is that you are parodizing the Han Solo archetype. You are being like, look how much of an asshole this Han Solo character is. And what if he's just like a fuck-up and like dumb? And like, what if he drops the orb and is just like doing a bunch of shitty stuff? And also, while making fun of that character, you're also Guardians is also critiquing that character and being like, no, this guy's a shitty person and he needs to change. And I think what we would have seen if Guardians 3 were to get made,
rest in peace,
which it won't, is that the arc of Star-Lord...
Maybe he'll go back to Scooby-Doo 3 now.
That would make it all.
It would.
No
it would
joke. It would make it worth it.
It would be worth it if he made Scooby-Doo 3. Now.
Legitimately, if James Gunn wrote and directed Scooby-Doo 3,
my God.
Bring back the original cast.
Oh my God.
All worth it.
I wish.
All fucking worth it.
I've been waiting for like 10 years.
I would personally thank that fucking Republican piece of shit who brought up those tweets if that would happen. I would find him and I would shake his hand for being such a motherfucker.
I would just find him and be like, if you strike me down, I will become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
I would give Bench fucking Sharp Dick a big old hug because he inadvertently caused the creation of the greatest film ever made. But that won't happen.
No.
So,
unfortunately.
If there would have been a 3, I think the arc of Star-Lord that James Gunn was making was about this shitty Han Solo kind of guy becoming a better person and not becoming an asshole, realizing he needed...
Like his dad.
Like his dad, yeah. And because the whole first film is his relationship with his mom, the whole second film is a relationship with his dad, and I think the third film would have been a relationship with himself. I think that would have been the arc.
I mean... That's...
Go ahead.
Well, just... There was a YouTube video that we were talking about in relation to this movie that is about that.
Yes.
And I think something he didn't really mention in that video is that he loses 2 dads in Guardians 2.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
Is like, his real dad is a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
And so he kind of sees, like, what he could become.
Yeah.
It's like the ghost of Christmas future.
Mm-hmm.
But he also loses, like, the dad he actually cared about.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And the whole point is that he's like... The whole point is him coming only through his theoretical father dying that he realizes how great of a dad he was and how great of a person he could become. And I think the third film would have been him becoming that person. And I think the biggest problem is that Infinity War has nothing to do with the Guardians outside of just, look, it's those funny guys you like from those movies, and not knowing what to do with those characters. Because...
To be fair, as a movie, taking it completely out of context,
Yes.
the only semi-enjoyable parts of Infinity War are the jokes between the Guardians and Thor.
I would... Between Guardians and Thor, kind of. I think the humor of this... The humor the Guardians have in this movie, and I think how the Guardians are handled in this movie, really shows how the creators of this film don't know how to handle this film. Because I believe the Guardians are handled very poorly, both character-wise and joke-wise. I don't think most of the jokes are that funny, and I think the jokes that are funny feel very out of place, and are honestly very frustrating, because it feels like a lot of the jokes are just like them not taking the situation seriously. They feel like they're a bunch of children. They feel it's like, stop making jokes, this is like real shit. And if anything, that shows like how good of a writer James Gunn is. It never felt like that in the first two movies. Like, because him doing a dance-off to distract the villain of the first movie was a smart thing. It was like, this guy's gonna destroy the entire world, so I need to do something to distract him for 30 seconds so that we can get the up on him. It's a smart thing, and though it was kind of dumb and unconventional, it was a smart choice that he made. In this movie, it feels like, especially with the whole Guardians/Tony Stark team, it feels like
especially when they get to that part of the team.
Yeah.
It's fucking...
It feels like they have no idea what they're doing. They're completely just out of their element and are just, like, just making dumb jokes and just want to fucking...
At least they made the Asian girl do something in this movie. Still not a character.
No, she's still not a character, but
she participates.
She's helpful again. She essentially just does what she does in Volume 2 by making... Her only power is making people go to sleep. Like, that's it. It's just make the big bad guy go to sleep. Okay.
Only Asian person in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, by the way.
Yeah. Great.
Fucking solid, guys.
And, I mean... And I think then the characterization of a lot of the characters is either non-existent, with people like Drax or the Asian girl, or it just makes them look like assholes like Rocket or Star-Lord.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he seemed... I mean, especially Rocket Raccoon seemed like a much more... Like, for no reason.
Yeah.
No, the only thing that I can think of that I was like, was good... A good, like, joke to me was when he's pretending... He thinks that he's, like, completely invisible by standing still.
That part's funny.
Eating the chips.
But that's so much just Dave Bautista.
Right.
That's so much just Dave...
It has nothing to do with this movie.
Yeah. That's just Dave Bautista being a very good actor that no one gives him credit for. And he just gave a scene that isn't inherently funny. It's such a generic, dumb, like, oh, they were about to kiss, and then someone walked in on them. But he makes it funny.
Rotates it away from that
Yeah.
into something completely different.
Yeah. Dave Bautista is a great actor and deserves better. A lot of people in this movie deserve better. A lot of characters in this movie deserve better. And they just don't get it. Everyone is the worst iteration of themselves, both with power levels and just with character. Rocket Raccoon is just an asshole like he is in the second one, but they don't frame it like that's a bad thing. They're just like, that's the character, isn't he funny? Star-Lord is an asshole more so than he was even in the first movie. He hasn't changed at all, apparently over 2 films.
I don't know... I mean, I didn't see Civil War, so I don't know how Spider-Man is in that. And I didn't see the Spider-Man movie, I guess. is either.
He's about the same as he is in Civil War.
I don't like that portrayal of Spider-Man.
Neither do I. No.
I know I'm like that guy, but if it's not Tobey Maguire, I honestly don't think it's a good Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I think that they already cast the perfect person for Spider-Man.
Yeah.
He embodies that character so much to me.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't want to see an 8-year-old in an 18-year-old's body trying to have gay sex with Robert Downey Jr. I don't think that's a character.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, I'm fucking tired of Iron Man. He's such a dick, and I just don't care about him.
Yeah. I think... Well, the thing with Iron Man, and this is why it's... I didn't mind... I don't think I maybe have as much of a hate boner as you do for Robert Downey Jr. I
don't know. Just something about the Iron Man character. I'm just so done with it.
I didn't mind Iron Man in this movie. I think maybe actually he was one of the only characters I really like. Again, just because I think Robert Downey Jr. brings a lot of natural charisma to that role. But the thing about Iron Man throughout the entire franchise, from like the first movie, is I believe, and I think I've talked about this to you, Iron Man's end game is him becoming a villain. His arc throughout this entire series is his, like, Breaking Bad-esque, just him becoming more and more of a terrible person. Like, it starts out where he's like this, like, crazy, like, playboy weapons dealer guy who tries to do better, but every time, the arc throughout the entire film is every time he tries to do better, he ends up accidentally making things worse. Whether that be with accidentally creating Ultron, or in Civil War, where he kind of is... He has a point, but is also kind of the villain in that movie. And as things go on, he handled... Like, what I really love about Iron Man 3 is that he has PTSD from the Avengers movie. No other characters have that. But he actually reacts to everything that happens in Avengers like a real person would. He's like, this was fucked. I fucking died. I was so... It's insane. And it makes sense that he's going to essentially just go crazy. Like, I think he should. I think I've talked to you about this. I think he should become the Maker. Eventually. I think so. I think he should become what Ultimate Reed Richards became in the Ultimate Universe, where he just becomes this, like, super, like, intelligent villain who just thinks that they need to destroy the world and create a new one. Like, I think that's what should happen with this character. This film doesn't really work in that arc for him, though. This is just him being Iron Man and fighting some guys. Like, I mean, he has his nanotech suit. Like, you have to have a new Iron Man suit in every movie, except Civil War, I guess. I mean, it's fine. It's kind of cool. It's kind of dumb, also. It's essentially just they wanted to have, like, a bunch of different suits for one scene, and they couldn't think of, like, more creative ways for him having them besides just, it's a suit that changes. He's essentially just the Blue Beetle. Like, so I don't know. He doesn't really work super well in this movie, I think I like him and Doctor Strange's relationship, but I think him and Doctor Strange are really the only two characters in this movie I do like.
I like Doctor Strange in this movie.
I do too.
I thought he was pretty good.
I think...
I mean, the Doctor Strange movie was good too, so
yeah.
It's not really surprising.
Yeah, I think the power... But I think with Incredibles and with this, there are two levels of criticism I have for these movies. One is on a kind of, like, a first physical level of just problems I have with the movie, and the second is problems that I have with what the movie is saying.
Right.
And I want to kind of address the problems I have with the movie first before we really get to the things that the movie is saying. My problems with the movie is that all of the characters are nerfed, essentially. Mm-hmm. So
especially Hulk.
Especially Hulk and especially Thor. So that Thanos... Because in the comics, Thanos is, like, the OP'est of OPs. And, like, that's what I thought they were building to, is that as every stone he gets, he's gonna, like, have more crazy powers.
I think that's what they were trying to do, but they just didn't.
They were trying to do that, but they weren't creative enough to actually do that. So instead of making Thanos super, super overpowered, they just made everyone super, super underpowered. Doctor Strange especially. Doctor Strange never uses the Time Stone except once. You think that might come in handy while fighting this guy, maybe? I don't know. Could help. Hulk.
He, think about the end of Doctor Strange.
Yeah. Why doesn't he just do that again? Like, straight up. Or even, what would have been cool is if he tries to do that, and then Thanos, figures out a way out of it. Instead of creating these characters making weaker, why don't you make Thanos even stronger so they have to use their powers creatively to try to defeat him? Or even if they don't, make him literally stronger than everyone else. Give him reasons that he could actually beat down all these people.
There's no reason that the Hulk lost the fight at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
The Hulk is... he's just, the strongest character on the team, objectively.
Hulk literally is Hulk strongest there is. That's the whole Hulk. Yeah. And the Hulk then, of course...
And in 30 seconds, he just gets beaten up and then just can't be the Hulk for the rest of the movie because they know that he should win every encounter.
Exactly. Yeah, it's bullshit. Same thing with Thor. You've seen Thor Ragnarok, right?
No.
Okay. Oh, I thought you was talking about how... Okay, never mind. With Thor, the whole point of Thor Ragnarok is that he loses his hammer.
And he doesn't need the hammer.
And
then he goes and builds a hammer for 2/3.
And he goes and builds a hammer and also gets defeated by Thanos. It's like, how is he defeated? Thor, at the end of Thor Ragnarok, should have easily been able to take down Thanos. Just on his own. Or even put up a fight. But you get the feeling that they fucking just got blown over easily. Even Loki. Loki could have done more than just tried to stab Thanos with a dagger.
Yeah.
Seriously? That's the best you could do. You don't even, pretend to be, one of the allies and then, try to get behind him and fuck him up or something.
Yeah, or, stayed with him for the entire movie and then try and steal the gauntlet for yourself or something.
Exactly.
Like Loki would actually fucking do.
Yeah. But all the characters are like that. Fucking Spider-Man's like that. Iron Man's like that. Fucking Star-Lord is like that. All of the Guardians are like that.
I don't understand why it takes them so long to get the gauntlet off his hand while he's asleep.
Exactly. Literally, too, why doesn't Doctor Strange just do the thing he does earlier in the movie and put a portal around his hand and close it? Why doesn't he just cut his hand off with a portal?
That's what I said when I was watching that scene. Why don't you just cut his hand off?
Yeah, that works. And you could have even done a thing where it's he's so strong that you can't even do that. You can't bend reality over him. That could have been interesting. But instead, you just don't do it. Instead, the characters don't think once to even be just close it up. So, I don't know. It's just so fucking dumb. At every moment, I'm like, why didn't you do this instead? Why didn't you do this instead? All of the characters are so weak. Fucking Gamora, her fight against Thanos is literally... She beats up Thanos one-on-one earlier in the film. Granted, it's like he does the reality stone or the mind stone or whatever. And then later in the film, when she tries to fight him again, doesn't even do it. He grabs her arm and she just beats him off as if she were a child. She doesn't try to fucking even kill herself before she falls over. She can't snap her own neck. She can't try anything else outside of just using the dagger to kill herself in the stomach, which also wouldn't have been that effective.
Yeah.
But she doesn't try to fight him off at any point outside of that. And it's just so the deadliest woman in the galaxy. That's all she can do is she can try to kill herself for 5 seconds and then she gets her arm grabbed, and then that's it. Why don't you try to dislocate your arm? Why don't you try to rip your arm off of your body and run away? There are a lot of creative things you could have done in these situations that Thanos still could have maybe beat you with, but instead the writers are too lazy to.
And then Red Skull's there for some
reason. And then Red Skull's there because that was kind of a loose end from the first Captain America movie, was that Red Skull got sucked into space. And you could easily think of it, it's essentially like a Raiders Indiana Jones ending of the power he wanted killed him in the end. But he's alive as a different character and also not as, I wanted to say Sigourney Weaver, but I'm fucking Hugo Weaving. No, wait, Hugo Weaving, yes. Also Peter Dinklage is in this movie and it's bad.
He's not good.
He's not good in it.
Which is surprising.
Yeah.
Because he can turn shitty things into good
He can
things.
take one of the terrible worst shows of all time. And
He's the
be
only
at
good
it.
part of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And I hate Game of Thrones, but
yeah.
he's good on that show.
Yeah. It really is, and it's maddening. And every time, because all of the cheering moments are anytime the Avengers or anyone isn't just the worst at what they do. Like, all of the cheering moments, like when they actually all fight Thanos, they could have probably done a little bit of a better fight, but even still, it's like, oh cool, they're actually using their powers, kind of. Like, I'm sorry, that's the one thing, like, we kind of referenced the Movies with Mikey video a little earlier, and we will be referencing it more later, but he says, oh, I liked how they used their powers in the movie and how it was integrated well. And it's like, it's not, though.
I don't understand why he likes that movie at all.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing.
It's confusing.
I think...
I think he just likes all movies.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like... I mean, the Vision, too. The Vision gets nerfed to all hell.
He doesn't do anything. He
literally
has no powers.
He gets stabbed, and then that's it. He gets stabbed. Even... Fucking Scarlet Witch, too. Scarlet Witch is powerful as fuck. She doesn't try to, like, rip the gauntlet off his hand, or rip the stones out of the gauntlet, or even, like, push him back or anything. She just cries, and then kills Vision, but then Vision gets brought back and dies.
Which is, like, the only time that Thanos uses his powers in any interesting way.
Also...
And everyone knows it's coming.
Yeah. Also, Thanos doesn't even use his powers at all. Like, he shoots some lasers and, like, turns things into bubbles twice, which everyone really should have saw coming.
I thought that he had just killed the Guardians in the collector's room. And then they just came back and I was like, what?
Because I guess his whole reality thing is it only works, like, when he's trying to bend reality, and when he stops bending reality, it just goes back to normal,
I just figure when you
doesn't make
break
any sense.
someone into a bunch of pieces, they're done.
It doesn't make any sense, and it's bad writing. Also, the other thing about this, too, the whole point of this movie that everyone knew was coming is that a bunch of characters were going to die. I thought it was going to be like, and I maintain this still should have been what it's like to be, regardless of the stuff we'll get to later. It should have been like a slasher film. It should have been like Thanos throughout the film is just killing all these people in different ways. And like brutal ways. Like he kills someone this way with the new power, and he kills this other person some way with his other power. And like a lot of people should die, and at the very end they should be like, we gotta fucking stop him. Or they don't. But instead what happens is...
He has like an aversion to killing people outside of this one specific way that he's going.
Yeah. He kills Gamora, and he kills Vision... and Loki. He chokes Loki out, he kills Gamora, and he kills Vision. Am I skipping anyone? That's it, right?
No.
And then he, as everyone knows, he fucking clicks his fingers and kills half the universe. And regardless of if that would work or not, that wasn't a 5-minute scene of just watching a bunch of characters turn to dust is not what I was hoping.
And also...
Yes.
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
First off, I get that it's a film.
Uh-huh.
You can only show one event at a time.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with characters melting one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
If you need to show who died and who didn't. Mm-hmm. And at first, it's not that bad.
Uh-huh.
Because it could just be you're seeing several moments that take place at the same time because they're all separated. Mm-hmm. And then a little later, it's some people are dying later than other people. And you're like, that's a little weird.
Yeah.
The Spider-Man one is a travesty.
Yeah.
Why does Spider-Man die slowly?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make any sense. He should have disappeared just as quickly as everyone else.
I'm gonna point. I'm glad you brought that up because this is what I'm gonna get to. This I think will be a good transition. Is that but that's because Spider-Man's healing ability is keeping him alive.
No, that's stupid.
It's stupid because it's magic, so it shouldn't matter. Also, that leap of logic, the audience shouldn't have to make.
No.
The movie should explain that. Another thing, I just said, why are they nerfing, why did they nerf their powers? Why did they do all this stuff? Why didn't they do all this other stuff? Oh, but that's because when Doctor Strange looked into the future all those times, only one way is how they won. So they have to do it specifically the way that everything played out so that they win. Because if they did anything else, they wouldn't win. Bullshit. No. You mean to tell me that if you had just made sure that Star-Lord didn't find out about Gamora dying, somehow the gauntlet still wouldn't have come off in any reality? Really. Also, running the numbers of like fucking 5,000 whatever to 1. That's like, I don't know if you've heard this. That's like you have a better chance. No, you have a better chance of winning those numbers than you do like winning the lottery. Yeah. So it's not even that big of a chance thing. It's not some crazy out there thing. It's like he should have done like trillions of like a Googleplex of futures. And like, no, I've looked at so many different realities and this is the only one. Even still, bullshit. Bull fucking shit. The fans shouldn't have... The audience shouldn't have to make those leaps in logic. The audience shouldn't have to retcon it in their head so that this movie makes sense. But apparently, no one minds because everyone is fucking willing to.
And why, when, they're trying to pull the gauntlet off and Star-Lord starts beating him...
Yeah.
You've got a time stone. As we've seen in this movie, it allows you...
I don't know if they can hear you.
It turns out that the time stone can control time.
Yeah.
So you could have turned back time
Yeah.
and stopped that to the good old days.
Yeah.
Now we're stressed out.
That feel when Deadpool uses time travel smarter than fucking Doctor Strange does.
Yeah, seriously. And it's just... and this is starting to get into more of a, like, problems with the movie's, like, portrayals instead of just problems with the movie's plot.
Yeah.
But all the girl characters have to fight together and with each other.
Yeah.
And that's the only people they're allowed to fight.
There's literally just, like, a cat fight scene.
And there is a different problem that comes up that is very similar. And I figured out a lot of the characters that die are minorities.
Yeah.
Like, pretty much every minority dies. And very few, like... Especially, not like, almost none of the main Avengers die.
Well, that's the whole point, is that it's everyone except, like, the people from the first movie die.
Right.
Which is not what anyone wanted. It's like, Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, first off, in Avengers 2, you set it up so that, like, a new generation can take over, and then you've still relegated...
I would much rather be invested in if the core Avengers die, and it's now all of the other characters have to come together who haven't been main Avengers, have to come together and fight Thanos. That seems more interesting than, it's like the first movie again.
I don't think they intended to kill off only these black characters and women characters. I think they just relegated those characters so much to being background characters that when it came time to kill them off, they ended up killing every black character except for fucking Don Cheadle-ass War Machine.
Yeah.
Who's the most black Republican dude I have ever seen.
Yeah, 100%.
This the kind of dude that owned slaves. Like, honestly.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. You fucking kill Black Panther. You fucking kill Falcon. It's like, seriously?
And I will give them... I think that the way that Black Panther died was interesting. Because they set up this situation of all these people are, like, almost dying, and then they disappear. And I thought it was kind of a cool shot that he was still, like, just doing stuff. And, like, helping people out, and then just kind of disappears.
Yeah.
Because that is kind of, like, what would happen. Like, if you looked at around the world, it seems like people would just be in the middle of doing things and just disappear.
Yeah, not just being, like, give a 5-minute little bit and then die.
Feels so good.
Feels so good.
So I like that in concept, but I don't like any of the context that it takes place in.
No. I don't... I don't... And talking about the movies with Mikey thing about how, they'll just undo it. I mean, whether or not they undo it, it's still bad.
It is still bad.
And if they undo it, it is worse, I think. It is true. If they keep it, it's bad, but if they undo it, it's worse, because then ultimately, it doesn't matter. Nothing, all of this that you've shown doesn't matter.
It's like, there was an article I was reading, for some reason. And it was like a couple seasons ago in Game of Thrones, when Jon Snow died, and they brought him back. And it was an article about how that event made the entire Game of Thrones universe not matter anymore.
Sure.
Because the whole thing is that people who are important and that you like die.
Yeah.
And that's just a part of the world. And now that he's come back to life, death has no meaning.
Sure. It's the death of Superman thing, where up until that point, anytime a superhero died, it was pretty much final. And then as soon as Superman died and then came back. Suddenly, all superheroes were dying and coming back.
Right.
So, no, I 100% agree with you. And, I mean, I think getting now more into the deeper stuff, I didn't like Infinity War for the reasons I've listed. But there was always a little more that just didn't sit right with me. And I don't know about you, but I could never really put my finger on what that was until watching the movies with Mikey. Mm-hmm. Do you kind of agree with that? Because there was always this vague feeling of, like, just unpleasantness that I had with the movie that I could never really boil down to what it was until, of all places, the running gag of the podcast that we love to shit on, Movies with Mikey, brought up a lot of good points.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, it just goes to show that, like, somewhere deep down there is something about the show that, like, it's not even about, like, I guess it just transcends, we have different opinions on movies, but the same opinions on life. Yeah.
I guess that's fair. They just put out a deep dive for Green Lantern, and I think it's about to undo all that goodwill I just gave him, but but no, regardless of that, we're not going to shit on the guy. I recommend checking out the Movies with Mikey on this movie. And I recommend not looking at the comments section because
it's bad. I
couldn't do it. I'm not going to read like
15 of them.
I can't read like the essays that people were putting in those fucking comment sections. Like, I'm not going to do it. From you reading it, what did you kind of see?
So
well, no, wait, should we maybe talk
first? We should talk about the video, because otherwise the comments will make sense.
So, the points that Movies with Mikey makes, and we are going to cite him, he's probably not the only person talking about this, but he is probably one of the biggest people that we've seen talk about it, and that I 100% agree with, is that this movie has a lot of really, like, traumatic and serious stuff happening that it just uses for cheap shock value. You brought up Game of Thrones earlier, which I think is a great example of something how it takes... This movie doesn't have rape, necessarily, but it takes, like, dramatic stuff like rape or torture or death just so that the audience is shocked and the characters barely react to it. Mm-hmm. They react to it at the time, actually very realistically. Like, there are a lot of scenes where... Another big problem I had. Every time Thanos gets a stone, and this has to be done deliberately, it's because someone has the stone, is like, I'm not going to give you the stone, and then he tortures someone in front of them, and is like, I'm going to kill this person slowly and painfully if you don't give me the stone, and then they're like, okay, please stop torturing this person. That's how he gets all of them. Mm-hmm. And it's dramatic, and it's, like, not fun to watch. And going into this movie being like, oh, it's going to be a super cool superhero movie, like the ones that it's been, like all Marvel has been. Mm-hmm. This is very out of place and unpleasant. And it isn't dark. It isn't like Dark Knight or something. It's not like tonally serious. Because then you go back to the fucking dumb Guardians jokes right after that. And you can't do that. That's why I think those lines don't work as well, is because it's not funny. When it's like, no, this is serious. People are being hurt and dying.
Right.
Take this shit seriously. So it's no longer this fun blockbuster ride when you're watching these characters that you've cared about for years and films just get shit on. It does become a slasher movie in a way where you just want to see these characters get out okay. You just want to see these characters get out okay. And most of them don't. Mm-hmm. And they do frame Thanos. Like, he is the protagonist. He is the protagonist. He's the only character throughout the film, because everyone else is kind of just there. He is the protagonist, and you are maybe supposed to sympathize with him. At least sympathize. At least be like, okay, I see your point. Even if they're literally just ripping off Samuel L. Jackson's motivations in Kingsman as his motivations for this movie. You're supposed to sympathize with him. You're supposed to be like, no, he has a point. Yeah, he's a tragic villain. He just wants to make the world better. But he's not. He unintentionally is mirroring a lot of real world people that have a lot of power these days. Not even just Donald Trump. Like, he's mirroring a lot of people of 2018 and 2017 in recent years who have power, won't listen to anyone else, thinks they're right no matter what, and is just going to do what they can no matter how much it hurts everyone else because they think what they're doing is right. And the movie's like, yeah, well, they have a point. And...
Well, also, and this is something we didn't talk about, and this is a plot problem.
Yeah.
Thanos doesn't have a point.
No.
His plan is like an 8-year-old's plan.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
It has no basis in reality.
Yeah.
He somehow seems to think that because he had a plan that he didn't get to use on his planet,
yeah.
which did die,
yeah.
every planet is going to have the same thing happen,
yeah.
and his plan would work.
Yeah. Like, you literally...
Like, he doesn't even have proof that it would work.
No. No,
he goes, oh, all these planets I did this to, look at everyone's thriving now.
Mm-hmm.
Which, one, would not be the case.
Yeah.
And two, probably isn't accurate.
Yeah. It's like, and again, we're now quoting multiple people, because Jenny Nicholson brings up the point that, is there any planets that have been like, years later, yeah, you were right, thanks for coming to our planet and killing half the people.
No, he says that Gamora's planet is like so much better now.
Yeah.
But you have no proof of that.
You have no proof of that. Also, in the Movies with Mikey video, one, he does disprove that that would actually work. And two, who the fuck are all these other people who are agreeing with him? We don't know who these random people are. They haven't been set up. Are they people from planets you've, like, saved? It doesn't explain that. They're just random people with random powers.
Yeah.
And why are they even there? Why is Thanos supposed to be the most OP person of all time? Why does he have some shitty CGI army and all these shitty CGI followers? Why does he have all that? Why shouldn't he just be enough on his own? Why do we need all this extra shit also? Yeah. And yeah, no, I'm sorry. In this day and age, in 2018, where we're living in the Trump administration, where we're realizing how terrible so many people in power truly are, why should we have a movie where someone who looks like Purple Harvey Weinstein win?
Yeah.
Why should we have a movie where he wins by killing half of everyone ever, and the movie frames it as though he has a point? And people watching the movie are like, yeah, he has a point. Because there are so many people who are like, yeah, you know, Thanos could work.
Very similar to The Incredibles.
Yeah.
It presents a very warped view of reality with a very fucked answer.
Yeah.
And everyone just accepts it.
Yeah. Everyone accepts it. And there are rarely even points within the movie that the characters are arguing against it. There are rarely points where the character, like, Gamora at one point is like, you don't know that. And then he's like, no, I do. And then that's it. And then Doctor Strange is like, I don't think that's right. And he's like, no, fuck you. And he's like okay.
I don't think about... And this is even better than the idea I presented to you earlier. Mm-hmm. Think about it this way.
Yes.
What if Doctor Strange looked into the future, saw those worlds, saw the one where they didn't win, and looked farther into those, and realized that he was right?
Yeah.
And every universe that he did this in, it did work out.
Yeah.
Because that would actually present a dilemma to these characters.
Sure.
No.
Again, too interesting.
Yeah, right. You can't actually justify your justified villain.
No. You just have to vaguely be like, nah, he's right, though. This goes beyond fucking when you're a kid you idolize Batman, but when you're an adult you realize Joker is the real hero. Like, this goes beyond, because at least those people are like, fuck, you let it all burn, I love being edgy. Like, that's fine. But people are like, oh no, this could be a good idea. And, again, I don't want to go too far into, like, saying real-world ramifications of this. Like, I'm not saying that if Donald Trump was like, let's kill half the population, everyone would be like, yeah, sounds like a good plan. But it does make you worry. It does make you worry that so many people don't find a problem with this and are like, could be a good idea. That it's like, okay, well, what happens if that actually starts?
Right, I don't know. I don't wanna be like on everyone's case about everything.
Sure.
Because there's room for jokes in the world.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know, personally,
yeah,
that very many times I will laugh at things that in real life are not funny.
Sure.
But
yes.
You know, there's that it's a very famous poem about World War II. And it's just, you know, if you don't stand up for the people who are being attacked now, eventually there will be no one left to stand up for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's a very similar concept, that if everyone just accepts the ideas, even if it's in a fantasy setting, eventually those ideas can bleed into real world ideas, and we've all accepted a dystopia that we're living in.
Yep. Yeah.
So there is very much a danger to presenting really shitty ideas in your really big movie.
And even more than that, now talking about, like, real stuff, and I feel like, again, the positive guy he tries to, like, he tries to not harp too much on the serious stuff, and he tries to sandwich in compliments to the movie in between.
Which still doesn't work.
It still doesn't work.
Comments is,
yeah. But, and this is real, and he does a good job. You can't unring this bell. You do frame an abuser as, like, a good guy in this movie. You literally say that he loves his daughter that he's abusing.
Which you don't feel.
No.
It's just not accurate.
No, not at all.
He does not love Kamala.
No, he doesn't. But
factually, in the canon of the movie, he does.
He does. Because he gets the stone. If he didn't, that would even be interesting. If he kills her, and then nothing happens, and Red Skull's like, you didn't love her, why did you do that?
The thing that I was saying, and this is the thought that I had before the movie came out, about how they were going to reverse it, was just like, he killed her and got the stone, but it just doesn't really work because he didn't love her.
Yeah, exactly.
So he uses his power, and then all those people just come back eventually because, like, he doesn't actually have the power.
And I mean, well, the thing too is, I mean, it's hurtful. It's real. That out of everything, I think, is the most legitimately just not thinking, just being like, this'll be cool, not thinking at all about the real world ramifications or just the in-universe implications of that. And just, it swings it around. It's just fucking like,
and it just makes no sense. That stone should be unobtainable.
Yeah.
It's like every fucking MacGuffin in Harry Potter that the villain can't get to.
Yeah.
Because in order to get it, you don't want it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like, in order to get that stone, you should just not. Like, what if that happened? What if Thanos gave up his entire plan because he wasn't willing to kill her?
Yeah.
And then he got the stone.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that have been more interesting?
Yeah. No, too much work. Too much writing work. Again, why actually write nuance and interesting things happening in your movie when you can just have a bunch of superheroes fighting and cheap, easy shock value? And people will act like it's great.
And they love it.
And there is
Best Marvel movie.
There is nothing within the reaction of this film to let anyone involved know that anything they've done is wrong.
No.
From
their perspective, they have made a very successful and well-loved movie.
They've gotten over $2 million in the box office. Everyone acts like this is the greatest fucking story ever told. You talk, not even shit. You just say, yo, I like this movie, but it has problems. And everyone jumps down your throat. Every single person is, like, starting to fucking be, like, up in arms against you.
That's what happened in the movies with Mikey.
That's where I'm saying,
right.
Leading you in, talk about.
He praises this movie unreally.
Yeah.
Like, way too much. It's not good, dude.
No, it's really not.
But he gives this movie so much credit and says it has this one problem that is throughout its whole thing.
Yeah.
About this. It has this problems with abuse. Being treated as if it's love. And every comment is just, I disagree with you, or just because they put it in the movie doesn't mean it's how they feel, or Marvel's not just for kids anymore, grow up. Which is literally the point he makes in the movie.
Yeah.
Marvel movies were for everyone.
They were.
And they are no longer for everyone.
Yeah. That's why that's why they were popular for so long. Is that every movie can be someone's first Marvel movie. Every movie can be someone either that they've loved all the comics or they've never heard of them.
And I missed a lot of Marvel movies. And we just catch, like, the second one.
Yeah.
And it still makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's the whole appeal of it, is that you can watch them in any order at any time.
Yeah.
This movie requires so much context and so much you have to be a specific person. Like, and he talks about that, about seeing it, and, like, just kind of having to, like, stop watching the movie for a while at some points.
Yeah.
Because it's really, like, hurts him.
It does, yeah.
And it's just, like, that's not a movie for everyone.
No, it's not.
Disney shouldn't have made this movie.
Yeah, and I mean, that was my experience, and I couldn't think of it at the time, but the reason I didn't like everyone being nerfed is because everyone was getting tortured. And I was like, fight back, Jesus, do something.
Yeah.
And it really is. It alienates, because it's not, you need so much context, but also at the same time, since you fucking shit on the Guardians so much, it's not for people who've never seen any of these movies, and it's not for people who've watched all of these movies either. I maintain that in their original film, any single character could take on and defeat Thanos one-on-one with all of the Infinity Stones. Simply by just tricking him, or something even. Mm-hmm. Simply by just being smart. Black Panther, Iron Man, Doctor Strange, fucking Spider-Man, anyone.
Doctor Strange fought a way stronger villain at the end of his movie.
He did! Anyone one-on-one, Thanos, all the Infinity Stones, and them, in their original film, could beat him.
It's like watching the entire internet say that Goku would beat Superman in a fight.
Yeah.
It's just not true, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like the justification's always, if Goku had this and this and this, he could beat Superman.
Yeah.
And you're like, you're right. If Goku was Batman,
yeah, he
could beat Superman.
How much literal prep time does Goku get before fighting Superman?
It's just like, Batman v Superman is a slightly more interesting concept, because Batman is smart enough to figure out Superman's weaknesses.
Yes.
If he was introduced to the concept of having to fight Superman and given enough time, he might stand a chance.
Yes.
If Goku and Superman walked into a shopping center together and started a fight,
Yeah.
Goku would die.
Yeah.
Because Goku has died. You know?
Yeah.
He's a human.
Yeah.
You can fucking kill him.
Yeah.
Superman is literally not a human being.
Yeah. And because it is, and it's like the whole internet is saying that, because even I don't feel like this film has been polarizing. I don't feel like Incredibles 2 has been polarizing. I don't feel like Solo, I guess. I don't feel like Jurassic World 2 has been polarizing. I don't feel like there are a lot of people saying, man, I really didn't like this film. I feel like everyone is talking about how it's the greatest film ever made, and how every single moment in the film is better than any films before it, and if you dare even question its greatness, how fucking dare you?
Yeah, there's been a really weird mob mentality, especially around Disney movies recently.
Yeah.
Where if you disagree with the opinion, you're just wrong.
Yeah.
Which is really weird, because sometimes it goes the other way. Like with Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Where there just became like this mob of, if you like The Last Jedi, you're a dumb feminazi SJW cuck.
Yeah. And even outside of that, first of all, fuck those people. Just want to say, fuck those people. They're wrong. Fucking...
You're just wrong.
You're just wrong.
Once you bring that into the argument, you've lost.
I shouldn't even bother be having to argue with your points that a woman should be a character or not.
Yeah.
Like, that's... Taking all of that away, like, taking all of that out, Last Jedi is one of the best directed and made blockbusters in maybe the past 5 or 10 years. It's so well made. And it's so well shot.
And its ability not only to, like, be a good movie on its own.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it has plot problems.
Sure. It has a lot of plot problems.
Yeah. It does have problems in its plot. Mm-hmm. But it exists within Star Wars.
Yeah.
And it uses that existence on a meta level to subvert your expectations.
Yeah. But even taking away the subversions, taking away all of that, I am so depressed when people, for a myriad of reasons, talk about how much they hate The Last Jedi. And that they can't just see what a...
No, taking away the subversions.
Yeah.
There are still some amazing character developments in that film.
Yeah.
Especially Kylo Ren's character. And his interactions with Rey in that film are amazing.
Yeah. It's just so depressing when I hear people talk about how much they hate it. And it's like, you just don't see it. Like, you just are purposely blinding yourself from how great this movie is because you want to be angry.
Because there are specific flaws that you're like, no way, this happened, so it's terrible.
And I think that's actually a really good comparison, because the exact reverse thing is happening with this film. everyone is purposely blinding themselves from any, not even like shitting on the film, any possible critique you can make of the film.
Like even just like, I think this part of the plot was weak.
Yeah.
It's just instantly like, oh wow, get out.
They are blinding any and all reason just so they can have their fucking superhero movie. Just so they can have that movie I've waited for 10 years. The biggest culmination of the MCU. Fuck that. That doesn't matter. Fucking this movie has problems and you need to fucking talk about it. Like, you need this, Incredibles 2, all that. You need to fucking acknowledge and realize that that's actually a thing that's happening, and you need to stop willingly blinding yourself and acting like this is the greatest fucking movie ever made. Like, people who like the MCU love to make fun of DC. They love to make fun of DC fans, because they love to be like, how can all these people fucking like all these shitty movies? Look at all these people defending Justice League and acting like all the MCU movies are bad. And I'm not going to say Justice League is a good movie. I'm not even going to say Justice League is better than this. At least Infinity War kind of is vaguely the structure of a film. Justice League isn't that. So I'm not going to say Justice League is better than this. Sorry. I'm not even going to say Batman vs. Superman. I'm not going to say even Man of Steel. Maybe Man of Steel is better than this. But what I will say is that for all those people who love to make fun of DC and be like, look at all these triggered nerds, haha, they don't fucking get it, do they? Their movies suck. They're doing the exact same thing. Right. And people who like DC movies, they're doing it out of desperation. They're doing it because at their core, they have to know these movies are bad. Maybe even they don't even know these movies are bad. But they're clearly disappointed with the films that they want to like, that they're so bad. So they are out of desperation trying to defend them and attacking other people because they want their movies to be better. Mm-hmm. I think people who like this movie do genuinely think it's the greatest movie ever made. And they are willingly blinding themselves to any critiquing of this film, the same way someone would who is like super devout Catholic or a crazy religious person would, because they can't possibly imagine that their favorite thing of all time could have any flaws. So they would rather just get up in arms and shit on the person who is even implying that there might be, than even listening to them and thinking, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe there are some flaws, because they can't have their perfect film have any flaws. So I'm done. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I can't fucking do it. You can have your fucking perfect movie then, because I don't want it. I gave this franchise everything. I've watched every movie, and I've liked all of them. I've loved almost all of these fucking movies. But I can't do it. You can have it then. You can have your fucking perfect movie. You can have your fucking idealistic fucking movie that you want, because I don't want to be a part of this. If this is the type of people who are going to enjoy this franchise, if you are going to willingly just let all this hateful and fucking hurtful shit get away with and just be in your film and just act like that's fine and act like that doesn't exist, no, I don't want to be a part of this. You can fucking be part of the MCU then, because I'm fucking out. Fucking fire James Gunn all you fucking want. I'm not part of this anymore.
James Gunn was definitely the problem, though. Have you seen his tweets from 12 years ago that he's repeatedly said that was offensive and I shouldn't have said that?
Yeah, I know, man.
What a bad guy.
Fucking
Good thing none of that's in Marvel anymore.
Yeah,
now, let me watch my little girl torture porn.
Good thing we're not getting Guardians Volume 3. One of the only things that could have salvaged the characterization of the fucking Guardians. Yeah. But no, let's get Edgar Wright to direct a Guardians movie. That'll be cool. Let's get fucking Taika Waititi to do it. I loved Thor Ragnarok, so it'll be exactly the same, right? No, fuck this. I'm out. Fucking enjoy Avengers 4. Yeah, it'll get all rewritten. I don't care. You can't fucking undo this terrible fucking film. Nothing you will do. You can maybe make them all come back to life. You can be like, oh no, Thanos was wrong the whole time. Oh no, we're gonna beat him up. It doesn't matter. You still made this movie. You cannot unring this bell. No. It's fucking done. So have fun doing Avengers 4. I'll probably watch it. I'll probably still watching these movies because you fucking got me by the balls here. I've been here 10 years. I guess I'll keep being here. But I'm not going to pretend that these movies are great. I'm not going to pretend that I like them anymore. I'm not even going to pretend that these are great art. I'm fucking out. Any other thoughts?
No, not really. I mean...
I just had to have my fucking mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore moment. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, but like, in all seriousness, I'm more excited about the upcoming DC films than I am about the new Marvel films.
I'm not excited until they bring back Tobey Maguire.
I mean, that will never happen, so I guess...
Can you imagine how good
that would be
Spider-Man 4
yeah.
with him would be?
That would be... Oh my god, if only.
I mean, it wouldn't be, because Spider-Man 3 also happened, which has already messed up that character.
Spider-Man 3 isn't that bad, though.
No, but I mean, like, I don't know, you can't bring it back to Spider-Man 2.
That's fair.
Like, there's no way to recreate that.
Yeah, that's fair. Any other
Maybe
thought?
the animated Spider-Man will be like that.
There's rumors. I mean, you could, since it's supposed to be about, like, crossing dimensions and stuff, you could theoretically have, like, Tobey Maguire play Spider-Man again. But I'm not super looking forward to that film, mainly because I just want to see a straightforward portrayal of Miles Morales, and I'm really tired of people shitting around the bush and being like, oh, maybe we'll do animated Miles, or we'll imply that Miles exists.
It's like, why isn't he just Spider-Man in the Marvel universe?
He should have just been MCU.
Reason.
He should have been MCU Spider-Man. You should have had a pre-existing adult Peter Parker that's been around for like 10 years and just nobody's talked about him because he's just street-level crime. And then you should have had Miles Morales as like the new high school kid.
Yeah.
That should have just been what it was. But again, I mean, going back to, I'll try not to rant as hard, but they're not learning from this. If anything, what they're learning is that they can keep doing Infinity War again and again.
Did Nick Fury die?
Yes, he dies in the post-credit scene. But he dies and, like, he turns to smoke.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just because he wasn't in the movie?
No, he's not. He's not at all. Yeah, so, I mean, they're not going to learn anything from this. They're going to learn that they don't really need creators anymore, which is why they fired James Gunn and are going to stick to that because they're a bunch of fucking pompous, stuck-up assholes. And they're going to be like, as long as we have all these superheroes all these nerds like, they're not going to care what we make our movies like.
Here's the thing about the James Gunn thing.
Yeah.
They would be getting flack either way. If they hadn't fired him, we'd be reading a bunch of articles about how can they let this slide, oh my god, blah, blah, blah.
But fuck that.
I know, I'm just saying, from a executive decision, this is still a better angle to take, because at least people now have to be like, those jokes weren't good, but instead of just saying, wow, you're letting him stay on, you know?
I don't know. It's all a mess with that. And I mean,
it really is.
This isn't super the place to talk. Well, no, fuck it. It is. It's, if you think that James Gunn should have been fired over the tweets, you're wrong. Like, I'm sorry. Those aren't funny. They're not good. They are pretty fucked up. But they're from 12 years ago, and he has apologized, and he has changed. And again, what Movies with Mikey points out, Guardians of the Galaxy is about him trying to change. Mm-hmm. But again, in Infinity War, fuck those two movies. What is character development? Let's just have fucking Star-Lord be an asshole. That's all we want.
I don't know. I don't know what more you can ask for from a person. Mm-hmm. It's so rare to get somebody to even acknowledge their mistakes and apologize for them sincerely. Yeah. But to do it multiple times and to like always be like, part of my like life is being a different person. Yeah. Is about as good as it can get.
Yeah, 100%.
Especially when the thing they've done is just bad, like, tasteless jokes. Yeah. There's a lot worse things that comedians have done in the last, like, year.
It's not like James Gunn was a rapist. Yeah. It's not even like he was, like, dropping the hard R every other tweet. Like, that would be a different story. But just, like, tasteless, dumb jokes that everyone was making in the mid-2000s. Like, we can suddenly act like we're all different now, but everyone was making those jokes, or worse. Look at comedians of that era. Yeah. Look at fucking South Park. Look at all that shit.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like... It's like somebody now... It's like excusing Eminem for using homophobic slurs back in the day, and now it's not okay. Yeah. In theory, it should have never been okay. Yeah. But the fact that you've said that makes you realize that it only matters because now, like, people get offended by it.
Yeah. And also, too, it was brought up because he was insulting someone who was doing way worse shit. And it's all just to fuel a fucking right agenda. It's all, and by Disney playing into that, it proves that they can get what they want by just bullying and digging up things. Well, when anyone calls them out for saying anything shitty, of just being constantly transphobic and homophobic and racist and misogynistic, and then they can be like, oh, but you made some bad jokes 12 years ago. And guess what? James Gunn, I guess, fucking isn't doing Guardians 3 now. So whoop-de-fucking-do. Thanks, Disney. Glad. Yeah, it's been a rough couple of months for movies. It's been a rough couple of months for blockbusters in general. And honestly, a lot's gonna have to change if for me to not think that the future is gonna be the same, if not worse. A lot's gonna have to change. I'm gonna have to see a lot more consistently good or just better blockbusters than this, because we started off strong. We started off with Black Panther. We started off with Last Jedi at like the beginning of the year. We started off really strong.
That was last year.
Well, okay, but it was like the last week of last year. So we started off really strong with blockbusters. And I don't know. I mean, I always get annoyed by everyone saying like, oh, the Marvel's too big to fail. Oh, the bubble's going to pop. Maybe the bubble popping is the only thing that's going to like change this. Yeah. Maybe we need to finally... Maybe a lot of superhero movies need to just crash regardless of quality because people are tired of seeing superhero movies. Maybe that's the only thing that can change this. But regardless of that, something's going to happen. Something's got to give. Something's got to give one way or another. And if it doesn't, then, well...
Were there any movies we talked about that aren't sequels?
No. That was my whole purposeful thing, is I wanted to do all sequels or franchise films or like something that's been
It's not hard, because
no,
that's what gets made. But...
Yeah. No, yeah, they've all... Teen Titans Go to the Movie is the most original film
which
we've
is
talked
still
about.
like a show sequel movie.
Based off of a show, based off of a comic book series. So yeah, I mean... I'm trying to think of any final thoughts. Watch the movies with Mikey Video. It's rare that I would be recommending watching movies with Mikey Video, especially in this day and age, but he makes some really good points. He cites a couple sources of other people who I guess have been calling this out, so I'm going to try to look them up. But that's the other thing, too. And that's why up until Movies with Mikey, I wasn't really thinking too much about Infinity War, honestly, because... Not to get too real, but... If you feel like maybe, let's say, you're in the right with something, or not even in the right, like, I'm just gonna go straight in. If you're in an abusive relationship, and you're like, I'm in an abusive relationship, and then everyone else is like, wow, it's such a good relationship you guys have, it's so great, you're not in an abusive relationship, and even you're like, no, I'm in an abusive relationship, and everyone's like, no, you're not, it's fine. You're not sexually assaulted. You're fine. I don't know what you're talking about. You start to think, I must be crazy. I guess I'm not. I guess I'm wrong because everyone else is telling me that I'm not.
Right.
And maybe it's unfair to equate me disliking a movie to someone being sexually assaulted. And no, it's not. That is unfair. That's not... I'm not saying that... Just because I am referencing this doesn't mean I am equating those two things. I am not saying that me disliking this movie is the equivalent to being in an abusive relationship.
But it is also thematic to the movie.
Yes. And also, but what I'm saying is if everyone constantly tells you, oh no, you're wrong, I don't know what you're talking about, the movie's great, you're not in an abusive relationship, you start to think, I guess I'm wrong. And it takes sometimes just one person saying, no, this movie's bad, for you to actually feel like, oh no, maybe I am right. And I think that's been the biggest theme of this entire episode, is that with every single movie, people have almost had an unwillingness to look at these movies as anything but golden. And there are people like you and me who are like, no, it's pretty bad though. And everyone's like, no, they're the best. And it gets to a point where we're like, I guess we're crazy then. I guess we just don't get it. Mm-hmm. So... I don't know. I feel like I'm rambling at this point, but do you have anything else to say?
3.5 hours.
Do you have anything else to say before we sign
I
off? Well, this is probably going to get cut into half, though, so we should probably record a couple.
Want to just do a thing right now?
Yeah,
well, let's do. Do you want to do it before or after? We should probably do it after.
We should do it after. We should finish the episode before we... Anyway, well... I guess if you want to listen to very different content than this, you can follow us at Real Unknown on YouTube.
Although, in a similar vein, you might like the top 10 end of the years we did.
You might like our check out our solo review, which is kind of the prelude to this in a little bit. And talk about Kyle's top 10 unknown films of the year. It's a pretty good one, not gonna lie. We're definitely gonna do that next year too. So.
Oh my god! Maybe this time I'll be ready more than a day before.
No, that's part of the.
It was so painful.
I know. But if you want to follow us, you can follow us on Facebook at Real Unknown or Twitter at Real_Unknown. And if you want to email us your 100-page long essays about why Infinity War is actually the best film ever made.
It's like the end of the Ego Raptor Ocarina sequelitis.
Yeah. If you've... part of me almost wants to go, if you've listened this far and you want to fucking debate me, fuck you, don't. Like, I don't care. But... yeah, you know what? Fuck you. No one's listening to this, so it doesn't matter.
Right. There's no way anyone's listened to 3.5 hours.
If you want to debate me on Infinity War, by all means, go ahead. I won't read it, but go crazy.
I might read it.
Okay.
I won't respond.
Either way, email us at realunknownpod@gmail.com. Like if it can't fit in the YouTube comments section, so you have to email us like a PDF of your entire long rant, then email us at realunknownpod@gmail.com. And, I can't really say my usual catchphrase for this one, so I guess, Kyle, you gotta sign off this time?
Movies are bad.
Movies are bad. Go read a book, everyone.
I recall the time they found those fossilized mosquitoes, and before long they were cloning DNA. Now I'm being chased by some irate velociraptors. Well, believe me, this has been one lousy day. Jurassic Park is frightening in the dark. All the dinosaurs are running wild. Someone shut the fence off in the rain. I admit it's kinda eerie, but this proves my chaos theory, and I don't think I'll be coming back again. Oh no! I cannot approve of this attraction, 'cause getting disemboweled always makes me kinda mad. A huge Tyrannosaurus ate our lawyer. Well, I suppose that proves they're really not all bad. Jurassic Park is frightening in the dark. All the dinosaurs are running wild. Someone let T-Rex out of his pen. I'm afraid those things will harm me, 'cause they sure don't act like Barney, and they think that I'm their dinner, not their friend. Oh no!
that's the ending, I
Yeah,
guess.
I just...
Oh, I want to keep going for the... Okay.
Gonna do the...
Alright. Well, this one will then be for the first... wherever we cut off. This will be the ending. We'll put at the first one. Don't touch that dial. You, it's been a... Fuck. Okay, let's try that again.
Cut that. How about a... Wow, guys. These are a lot of movies, and we can't fit it all into just one episode.
That's right, Kyle. We sure can't. In fact, we are overflowing with cum and movies in this podcast. So we gotta do a little bit of a special little twofer this time.
So make sure to stay tuned for episode 2 of the BlockBuster Spectacular.
Excuse me, it was the Big Bad BlockBuster Breakdown?
I apologize. The Big Bad BlockBuster Breakdown.
So, it sounds like the dog has been enjoying it, certainly. But, guys, if you can't wait a week, then try listening to some other episodes at Real Unknown, or following us on Facebook at Real Unknown, or Twitter at Real_Unknown. And if you want to email us all your hopes and dreams of what other movies we're going to talk about, you can email us at realonknownpod@gmail.com. Any other things the viewers should know, Kyle?
No, I think that's it. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned for next week.
Yeah, guys. Yep, you can cut that little part off. All right.
Probably can.
And then this will be for the opening of part 2, in case people click on this without listening to the first part.
Yeah.
Whoa there. You're listening to the podcast from the back of the book. You got to turn this boy around. We actually have a part 1 you have to listen to first, so we'll link it in the description, or you can just check us out somewhere, probably around. But make sure you listen to part 1 of this Big Bad BlockBuster Breakdown first, before you pass and listen to this even better, rantier for sure, second part. Anything to add, Kyle?
I mean, just get ready. Gonna have some laughs. Gonna have some fun in this part.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have some goofs, gaffs, and we're gonna have some outtakes.
A lot of screaming, probably.
A lot of screaming. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy the Big Bad BlockBuster Breakdown, Part 2.